clear skies, dry eyes on my colder than the air in this town. I have been a stone cold riverbed, if still I am alive. Maybe someday, I said maybe you'll forgive me, because I've been a Mayday son. I'm withered, weathered by the setting sun of your summer. If I could be anyone these days, I'd be someone different, so I could hold you now.
The creative process to write a book and publish it and all that good stuff. So I'd like to welcome him, if we could give him a warm welcome. And begin.
I have video evidence of that fact. And I finished it Christmas Day and put some finishing touches on the rough draft and sent it to some friends, and it just took off from there. And so the process has taken me to this point. It's been just over a year, and I'll just read a little bit for you guys. The world demands justice. It is one of the driving forces in all things. It stands to condemn us in that we didn't kill them all. In the old world, before the creation of mankind, the Titans brought such justice on themselves. Their fall from grace and subsequent destruction were just rewards for the violence they wrought amongst themselves. For the world they were given, for the world they ravaged. When humanity was created, and the greater beings to watch over us, peace reigned. For a time, we progressed. We advanced. We sought a truly wonderful future. And then, the Magi came.
The gates to the city wall were open. Ajar may have been a better word for it, Lieutenant Briggs thought. They looked almost like they'd been punched in by some titan from the old tales. He tried to reassure himself that they had simply been left unmaintained over the years. No one used these gates anymore. The cursed white mist curled out from under the broken wood and around the stones. It must be more humid than he thought, or at least so he tried to reassure himself. Briggs turned his horse around to face his mounted scouts, each one worth every penny the army paid for them and more. The lines on their faces had deepened, and none moved to join their lieutenant. He was alone. Then another scream rose and fell from the alley behind him. He turned back. The damn private! He kicked his steed into the mist as he heard another scream, rounding the corner in time to see the riderless horse sucked down into the mist. With a screech and a flash of light, it was gone. Only the faintest scent of singed hair remained to prove it had once existed. The sergeant froze as the mist churned and began to rise around him. He pulled out his pistol, cocking the hammer back before he had so much as leveled it at his invisible opponent. Lips pulled back tightly over his gums, he yelled his challenge. His wide eyes frantically darted to and fro for a target. His horse fidgeted side to side, feeding off her master's fear. The mist began to rise in streaks and reach for him. Was he going mad? What in God's name was this? His massive shoulder tensed, gloved hand clutching his faithful weapon so hard it became an extension of his arm. As if in response to his tension, it came for him then. Hot white light streaked out of the mist as ethereal tendrils spiraled out to grab him. He bellowed as loud a war cry as he could muster and unloaded his firearm into enemies he could not see.
Open hachel wit humeur. Ik heb mijn handen op je heupen, maar mijn hoofd is bij de deur. Ze zeggen dat ik justifying my way to you. I don't know which way to go.
As his eyes adjusted, he could make out that he was in some sort of entryway. There was a door to his left, one in front of him, and one to the right. The one in front looked like an office, dark letters stenciled on the high glass window. He turned to his left and walked towards a set of large glass sliding doors. The room beyond was dimly lit by small diodes in the walls. What they were connected to or indicating, he couldn't make out. Down both sides of the room were rows of tall benches covered in tipped-over vials, small gas burners, and other scientific measuring.
I can read. You know that I could use somebody. You know.
Meridoc slowed, gathering himself and smoothing his hair so as to maintain some form of dignity when he opened the doors. Shouting erupted from the lobby beyond as he twisted the heavy lock set in the doors. He could hear the thick bolts within slide slowly back into the doors from the walls and floor as the noise on the other side intensified. He stopped, uncertain of whether or not to lock the door again when he heard guns fire. Startled, he backed away without thinking as a soldier's scream was cut short. Meridoc could hear the body thud into the now unlocked door and slide against it to the floor. Dark blood began to pool and work its way into the room, causing the mayor to shudder involuntarily. A silent calm emanated from the lobby beyond, belying the carnage he was afraid lay in the darkness. The pudgy mayor was about to take a chance and move to lock the doors when they started to open, slowly. The darkness beyond them seemed to absorb what little light the emergency fixtures in his office could offer. The doors themselves swung half open until they gaped, small drops of blood arcing out on the floor in their wake. One of the lights behind Meridoc flickered brighter than the rest, allowing him to see the slumped-over form of the guard who had died just feet from him. He was suddenly very, very aware that he was standing in the middle of his open office with nothing at hand to defend himself.
Thanks for coming. It was great to have you guys. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It was good to meet you guys.